Thank you. Thank you, my friend Michelle. Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Very happy to get to spend this morning with you. Thank you so much for being here. As Michelle mentioned, my name is Laura. I am so delighted to get to share this space with you. It is my intention that we will co-create this space today to be one that empowers you and leads to breakthroughs either today or for the rest of your life. That is the big goal that I have for this space today. I understand it was a big day yesterday, late night for many people. Never fear, we're going to be doing some talking. We can be up and moving around as well. It is my hope that we spend this time actually interacting and engaging with some of the tools that we're going to work through today. So part of why I've titled this workshop Transformational Tools for Transformational Times is now is the time for us to step into the full power that is within us to unlock all of the opportunities for the things that we want to create in the world around us. And my personal belief, hence the name Being At the Possible, is that all of that goodness within us has the power to be fully expressed if we're willing to do the inner work of sometimes exploring our own cracks, sometimes exploring where things feel like they are a breakdown in order to access the breakthrough. Okay, so we are going to jump right in with a tool called acknowledgement. So my understanding is that some of you have traveled here for this time today, and I would venture to guess that it has taken something for you to be here. So I want to start there. Acknowledgement can be a very, very powerful tool for increasing our awareness, increasing our presence in the moment. And when we are present in the moment, that is the first step for being able to unlock lots of choices for how we can then step into our future. So some of you have traveled. Some of you woke up really early. Some of you had to leave behind loved ones in order to be here today. So I'd love for you to think for a moment, what would you like to acknowledge yourself for that made it possible for you to be here today? Maybe there were lots of logistics you had to go through. Maybe your flight was delayed. Maybe you had to rent a car and stand in a long line. Maybe you had to pick out your outfits. You had to iron your clothes. Maybe you had to leave behind a pet that you love. Maybe you had to leave behind a family. Maybe you had to drive a really long distance and you got lost. Maybe the journey starts even before then, from when you were really small. It starts with your family. It starts with your support network, people who made it possible for you to be here today. Oftentimes we can acknowledge the other people around us as well, and sometimes we then forget to acknowledge ourselves. So I want to give you a minute, maybe with a piece of paper, pen handy, and just think for a second, what would you like to acknowledge yourself for that made it possible for you to be here today? It can be small, can be big, no right or wrong answer. Take a minute to just think. Might be one thing, might be many things. For me, I traveled here with my husband. We've been married for 11 years, together for 20, and we left behind our two small kids with my parents. My kids are 6 and 8, and I had them give me a really, really big hug. And I said, Mommy's going to go do something really big with really special people. And so I acknowledge myself for being present here. I acknowledge my parents for being present with my kids to make it possible for me to be here. But it takes something to show up. It takes something to be present. And sometimes if we don't acknowledge ourselves, it can feel like those things go unnoticed or unknown, and they stay within us. So maybe take a few more seconds to finish up your list. What would you like to acknowledge yourself for? Maybe let it settle in and sink in, like, yeah, this is what it's taken for you to be here today, to be present. And as you're ready, I want to invite you to share with the person next to you what's on your list. What do you want to acknowledge yourself for? But wait, there's a part two. Not only are you going to show up for yourself, but I'd like for you to show up for your partner. As you share, here are the things I'd like to acknowledge myself. And it can be as simple as, I acknowledge myself for, fill in the blank. Person who's receiving that, after that partner is done, would you please say, yeah, I also acknowledge you for that. And just look them straight in the eye and really see them for those contributions. Okay? Then you're going to take a turn to switch. Sound good? Okay. When you're ready, take it away. All right, everybody, I think we're done. Let's bring it back together. Wrap up that final sentence. Okay, I am super curious. I'd love to hear from maybe 2 to 3 people. What did it feel like to acknowledge yourself, to bear witness to someone else acknowledging themselves, to thank them for that? I'd love to hear from 2 to 3 people. In the back, please.
It made me feel even more grateful for everyone who's here.
More grateful for everyone that's here. Thank you for sharing. Yeah, thank you. Gratitude. Maybe 2 to 3 more people. Yes, please.
It was kind of relieving because a lot of the time when I have these thoughts, I just tell myself to stop complaining. You know, like, you should be grateful you're here. Like, this is not anything. So it was good to not have that negative self-talk about it.
Ooh, I love that. Anyone else feel that? I'm seeing some nods. Yeah, the gratitude paired with the release of sometimes those things that we're holding within that others can't see. Awesome. Love it. How about one more? Yes.
I would say I feel rewarded. I think that Teddy and I both, like, we do a lot in our, like, personal lives. And so, like, we don't really think about certain things that we do. So, like, even being here in general, like, we subconsciously just like, oh, like, we're at Greenhouse. We understand a lot of the dedication and effort that we put into being here and, like, in community with everyone. So it's like, we actually had like a sit down and like to actually think about it and acknowledge that. So
nice. It takes something for you to be in this room. It has taken something. It is taking something right now. And to be present to that can be very powerful. It can give us energy as well to be present to the now. So one of the reasons I want to start with this tool is because I don't know if y'all can connect with this, but I really, really like achievement, accomplishments, affirmation, being validated by the external world. It feels good to me. My husband makes fun of me. He's like, why do you need so much affirmation all the time? I'm like, I don't know. It just makes me feel good. And at the same time, part of the edge I need to work at is, how do I do that for myself? How do I validate and affirm myself from within so that I'm not dependent on and waiting on the external world to tell me that I'm worthy? So I wanted to start with acknowledgement so that you all have always available to you in your back pocket the opportunity, the power, and the tool to remember that you can cultivate that validation for yourself, and it only takes a minute. It only takes a moment. And what can be extra powerful is when you share that and mirror that back with someone else. Okay, so that is the first tool that I wanted to start with. Thank you so much for starting there and sharing and jumping right in. Would you click forward for me, my friend? So what we're going to do today with the rest of the tools, beginning already with the first one, you've already got one in your back pocket, is working at the edge of impossibility. Okay, why do we want to play at the edge of impossibility? I made a little chart to show you. Would you click forward, my friend? Okay, when we are present in the reality, we can be feeling, as we said, all sorts of things. Gratitude, emotion, sadness, anger, presence, overwhelm. We can feel lots of things in the present moment in our current reality. And sometimes when we experience our current reality, we might experience problems there. We might see things as, oh my gosh, I'm stuck, I don't know how to figure that out, I'm overwhelmed, I'm worried, I'm concerned, I'm freaking out. And things can then occur for us as impossibilities. They start sounding like, well, I'll never be able to. It's not going to work. That person, can't work with them. Never going to be able to progress. I have this goal, but I'm not sure how to make it happen. And it's really easy to stay there, right? To dwell in impossibility unless we make the switch to possibility. And once we make the switch to possibility, from there, we can create opportunities and new realities. But it's in making the switch where we find sometimes the tension and the challenge. And that is the place in our time today where I want to play. How do we, as leaders, from within ourselves, begin to build that capacity, increase our capacity to move from impossibility to possibility. Because when we do that, we increase our choices, we increase our power, we increase our liberation, we increase our ability to contribute all the fullness of the gifts that we have within us when we can make that switch. So all the tools that we're going to work through today are in service of you being able to access the full range of possibilities that are available in the present moment, right now. Y'all willing to go on that journey? Willing to try? Willing to play around with it? Okay, let's go for it. So the first thing we're going to start with is setting intentions. I would venture to guess with a group of esteemed leaders such as yourselves, you've done this before. We're going to take it to the next level. We're going to take it to an edge. So I told you my intention for this space today is that it's one that will co-create, that will yield breakthroughs for you in the session and beyond the session for much longer. Now, setting an intention can be very powerful because an intention channels your attention. And where your attention goes, your energy flows. So if I were to tell you, hey friends, can we look around the room? And you just take in the room, look around, okay, great. If I said, let's look around the room for everything that's green, you would look around the room maybe with a different lens, seeing things a little bit differently. Some things would pop. You would notice some things. So when we have an intention, even if it's just set one time, it already starts to up-level us in our focus, in our attention, in our energy. So I would love to request of you that you consider for a moment, with your pen and your paper, what is an intention that you have for your leadership that might be helpful to carry through today's session? An intention that you have. Now, where could you look for this intention? You might look for a place in your leadership where you feel tension. Something is currently in tension in your leadership. Maybe it's at your workplace. Maybe it's you want to go to graduate school, you're not quite sure how to make it happen. Maybe it's you're trying to figure out how to balance work and personal life. Maybe it's you're managing a team and you're struggling with how to take the team to the next level. Maybe you're trying to learn something and you're not sure how you're going to be able to figure out what it is that you need to learn. I'd love for you to search within yourself. Where is there an edge? Where is there an impossibility? Where is there a tension in your own leadership that would be helpful to turn into an intention for today's session? Just take a minute to think about that. Jot it down. Maybe you have an intention for increasing equity and justice in the world. Maybe you have an intention for thriving communities. Maybe you have an intention for getting a promotion in your job, founding your own organization. Look to that edge. Once you've got your intention, the next question to ask yourself is why? Why does that matter to you? Write that down. My intention is, and why it matters to me is. Taking a few more seconds to finish writing it out. All right, so we're really going to squeeze the juice of this intention, because it's one thing to have an intention. Great. The next way to squeeze the juice is to write down the intention, which you did. Next way to squeeze the juice is to ask yourself, why does this matter to you? It just takes it to a new level of depth. And then the next thing to do to power up your intention and squeeze the last bit of juice is to speak it out. Now, in saying that, some of you might be like, oh no, I already feel like some resistance that I do not want to speak out my intention. That feels scary. That feels like an edge. That feels like, whew, I'm not sure if I'm ready to say it out loud. Precisely why, to take it to the next level, we speak it out loud. So my invitation to you is this. I'd love for you to stand, find a partner that's not the person you're sitting next to, share your intention, but remember acknowledgement. After the person has shared their intention, I'd love for you to acknowledge them and say, thank you for sharing that intention. I acknowledge you for that intention. Like, bring the acknowledgement spice to it. As a matter of fact, after you share your intention, would you also acknowledge yourself? Be like, my intention is this, here's why it matters to me, and I acknowledge myself for having that intention. Might feel a little uncomfortable, but just sit with it, because guess what? Your partner's going to show up for you and say, I acknowledge you for having that intention. Go you. Ready? Ready to step to the little edge of discomfort? All right, let's go. Find someone who is not at your table. Share your intention. All right, let's start finding your way back to your seats as you wrap up your conversation. Finding your way back. Thanking your partner, coming back to the tables. Wonderful, wonderful. Awesome. All right, coming back together. Wonderful. Thank you, everyone. Okay, I would love to hear from 2 to 3 folks. What did that feel like? What did you notice in participating in intentions, making them, writing them, getting clear on the why, and sharing them? Love to hear from 2 to 3 people.
Sorry, could you repeat?
Yeah, what did you learn? What did you see? What did you notice?
I'm real bold on paper.
Oh, can you say a little bit more? Say a little bit more.
Felt like, you know, like me and our little private bubble over here, I was like, okay, like, I mean what I say, and then I stood in front of Elizabeth, and I was like, oh, I'm such a liar, like, I don't feel confident, a little scared, but then after I said it, she had a big smile on her face, she was like, yes, like, do it, I acknowledge it, so it was, you know, humbling to know that, like, what you think you can do, right, is possible, and like you said, actualizing it into words.
I love that. Like right there in the words are out of your mouth and you're getting the smile back. It's like, yeah. It's like, it's almost like it's so scary when they're just right here, but then once they're out, it's like next level scary, but once it's mirrored back, whew. Are you glad you shared now?
Yeah, I think it's, you know, having like your stated conviction.
Yeah. I can hear that in you. Beautiful. Beautiful. Over here, yes.
I did really enjoy, like, I mean, obviously we've all set intentions, but I did like the incremental steps of it, and I felt like with each different level, I did dive a little bit deeper into why it mattered to me. And the speaking it, you just get to say it and see how it sits in you.
Yes.
And
Yes.
that's important.
Yeah. Did anybody notice that, like, what your body felt like to actually speak your intention? Did anybody feel sensations, either like a or a whoo, or yeah, I mean,
I've been feeling lighter and lighter all morning. Like, literally just feeling like it might be me getting more hydrated as well.
that works too. That works too. Love it. Yeah. The body is innately intelligent. The body is always speaking to us through sensations, right? And so that's brilliant to hear that y'all are already tapping into that. Love it. One more reflection, please. Yes.
I was extremely hesitant to say it out loud because I can write it down, but I feel like once I say it, I have to do it.
Yeah.
And I don't
Yeah. Yeah.
So now I have to like prove to Kiko that I'm serious about it. And
Yeah. It becomes a little more real, right? When it's out there. Like, whoa, am I really committed to that? But guess what? Power still is in you. Whose intention is this? It's yours. If you, after speaking, are like, you know what? Actually, it's not that intention. It's a different intention. That can also be valuable as well, right? So the power is within you to set your intention, to modify your intention, to get rid of your intention, replace it with a new one, and set as many as you'd like. And I think our next tool will maybe help us a little bit with that definition. It's a tool for clarity. So once we have our intention, what do we do about it, right? How do we get through the resistance, the hesitance, the reluctance that is oftentimes just living within us to make that intention reality, right? Remember the cycle. It's not like once we get to the possibility, it's like, how do we make that jump to the new reality? So let's go to the next tool, Michelle. This is called the power of knowing what you want. The power of knowing what you want. Again, you'll need a piece of paper and a pen for this, so have it handy. Maybe give yourself some space on this one, because what I'd love for you to do is draw a big circle on that page. Gives you enough space to write in the circle. Now, the power of knowing what you want. I learned this tool from a body of work called Light Year Leadership, so giving some credit to the teachers, those who have come before us, all the ancestors who've passed wisdom down through the ages. And so I want to acknowledge that this tool may feel very, very simple. It's a simple and an ancient geometry in many ways. And at the same time, it has the power to take you to some really new places. So here's how it works. The power of knowing what you want, get ready. Inside the circle, you write what you want. Outside the circle, you write what you don't want. Okay. Inside the circle, what you want. Outside the circle, what you don't want. Now, let me pause on this for a moment. Sounds simple, but I find that it tends to be we gravitate towards one more than the other. Like my husband, he always asks me, hey, what do you want to eat for dinner? And I'll say, well, I don't want to eat anything greasy. And he's like, well, that really doesn't help me. Narrow it down. What is it that you want? Like, I tend to go first outside of the circle. Well, if I'm always defaulting my attention to what's outside of the circle, what I don't want, then I'm walking around with almost like an embedded intention of what I don't want. So, good question then, if you default here, is to ask yourself, well, what's the opposite of that? Maybe I want a salad. No? Now, you may default here and say, oh, I know what I want. I know what I want. I know what I want. But it could be powerful to also clarify, where are there some hidden fears of what you don't want that are there just under the surface that maybe you haven't presenced fully? And it's good to see them. This is a tool for your clarity. As a leader, when you have clarity and you have conviction, you can move impossible things forward. This is a tool for clarity. So one more thing to say about this. You can use the power of knowing what you want anywhere, anytime, for anything. You could use it for your whole life. What do I want in my life? What do I not want in my life? You could use it for your business, your company, your organization. What do I want with this organization? What do I not want? You could use it for a relationship. You could use it for a meeting. You could use it for today. You could use it for this session. Anywhere, anytime. I've used it before on a vacation where my kids were going wild, and I was like, we gotta get back in the circle. We gotta get back in the circle. What do we want from this vacation, and what do we not want? And then the kids could walk around and say, okay, remember, Mommy, we said we wanted no fighting today, so we're back on track. We're back in the circle. So, tool for clarity. I want to give you a couple minutes on your piece of paper. You can apply this to your intention. You can apply this in another direction. Maybe you're called and say, you know what? Actually, I need this right now in a different area of my leadership. So play with it. Play with your circle. Filling in the middle, what do you want? What do you don't want? And just notice what comes up as you engage with the exercise. We'll take a couple minutes on this one to really give you some time. Why do you want those things that are in the middle of your circle? Why don't you want the things that are outside of your circle? Not from a place of judgment, but from a place of noticing and deepening understanding of the things that you value, the things that are a priority, the things that matter. If you've gotten to a place of stopping, sit in the place of stopping, and then just ask yourself, what else? Maybe there's something that scares you a little bit to write down, but you're going to write it down anyway because you know it's what you really want. Even if it feels impossible. Remember, that's the place we're playing, switching from the impossibility to the possibility. All right, take another maybe 10 seconds, finish up your circle, knowing you can always come back to it. You can always make many, many, many circles. The invitation now is to find a new partner, someone you've not partnered up with yet this morning. Introduce yourself, say hello, and share, what do you see from your circle? This might be an opportunity for you to share, this is what I really want, and I'm going to say it out loud for the first time. It might be you speaking of fear. This is what I don't want, and I need to say it out loud so I can let it go and be lighter. Release it. You might want to share with your partner, this is how it makes me feel to see these things. Wow, like, yeah, this exercise was hard for me, or this exercise was flowing for me. Okay? So you can either share what's in your circle, share what's outside your circle, or share what this experience was like. You have some choice on where you want that conversation to go. New partner that you haven't been matched up with yet this morning, say hello, up and moving. When you feel ready, the invitation is to share. We're going to be back together in, let's say, 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, getting settled. 4, 3, 2, 1, settling back in. All right, I would love to hear 2 or 3 people. How was that? What did you see in working with the power of knowing what you want circles? All the way in back, please.
When my partner was sharing the things she wants, I realized that I was holding back on the things I want. Like, things seem silly. Like, why would I want to write this down? It made me realize that the things I want, even as simple as they might seem or small that they might seem, they're important to lean into what I ultimately want and will make me happy.
Yes. Yes, it's your circle. Yes, I love that. Thank you for sharing.
When sharing with my partner, I felt that it was very affirming for both of us to hear so many similarities between the things that we want in life and things we don't want in life, and in a world where we feel often so disconnected from each other. It was just so good and refreshing to be vulnerable about what we truly want and what we truly don't want. And know that there are so many people out there who are like just really working for the same things that we want. We can come together on that.
I love that. Yes, in both these two comments, similar to intentions, right? You can keep your intention for yourself, but something happens when you open up and share it with someone else, right? Even if they look at you like, really? Huh, you don't know what's going on. Like, it is now out there doing its work. Okay, one more share. Yes, please, right here.
Something that we talked about was, like, I think a kind of overlap between your want and like a thing that you don't want was stability, but like also wanting freedom. Something you said that I thought was really profound was that some stability is going to have to be a sacrifice of freedom if freedom is the thing that you're pursuing. And so being able to acknowledge like some of the contradictions between your desires, but recognizing that like you are an autonomous being who gets to decide like where in that intersection you want to position yourself.
Yes, that is a perfect transition to our next tool. In terms of bringing back the autonomy within self in grappling with the tensions there. Before I move to that next tool, which, would you click forward, please? Which is called Inherited versus Chosen Legacies. It's going to be a really fun one to work on. I sense that there is someone, I don't know if it's one or two, it might be two people, who at this time are like really would benefit from saying something full group. Like, it's time for you to declare something. It's like, I know what I want and I need to say it because it holds me accountable. I'm not going to leave my weekend without saying it. Like, it's time. I feel like it's time. I don't know. I'm getting the sense that it's time for at least two people to have that moment. Maybe it's saying, like, I'm committing to the fact that I do not want this, and I'm saying it out loud. I no longer want this, and it's time for me to be clear on that. So who is it? I know there's two people. I know there's at least two people in here, probably more. And then the rest of the folks need to hear it. Like, I hope that lands, that it's not just about you sharing it for you. It's actually the other people in the room need it as well to grow. They need it for their own breakthroughs. So who is, there's two people. I think it's two. And if you're looking around thinking, oh, it's someone else, like, I think it might actually be you. So who is it?
I'll do it.
Go for it.
So I'm setting my intention. I don't know, I'm not setting a timeline. I'm setting an intention.
Nice.
And I'm not going to spell it out exactly because y'all are smarter than me and you can do it better, so I need this idea to be myself, but I'm going to start a educational consultant for the sciences. If you picked my brain, I have a couple more details, but that's as much as I want to put out there right now.
Nice.
You know, not trying to spell the whole thing
Nice.
out, but we're going to do it.
Okay, can I invite you to do one more thing? Yeah. Thank you. I would like for you to do it one more time. Okay. And instead of starting with the things I'm not doing a timeline, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing that, I want you to start right from the part of, like, I am starting your education.
I am starting a science educational consultant company.
Boom. Great. How does that feel?
It feels great. I'm ready to go home and start.
Nice. Good. Can you raise your hand if you got something from, can you say your name for me, please? Terrence. Can you raise your hand if you got something from Terrence doing that? Having the courage to, like, say his thing. Raise your hand if it did something for you. Okay. Thank you, Terrence. You made that possible for other people as well. Okay, so there's one more person, y'all, that's got like a Terrence-like moment, but it's actually your moment instead. So who's ready for that? All right, all in the back. Would you say your name for me, please?
Yeah, Adriana.
Adriana. Okay, Adriana, we're ready.
So I want to leave this weekend by pushing away my self-doubt. I am applying to med school, and every time I submit an application, I'm like, well, I'm probably not going to get in, but you go. So my intention this week is to believe in myself.
Believe in yourself. Yes. Okay. All right. Adriana, we're not quite done with you yet because we want you, the next time you click an application, to say something else. There's something else for you to say that's not, well, I'm probably not going to get it. It's something else that we're going to make sure that you leave this room knowing that you are going to med school. That is what you want, right? So when you submit those applications, when you tell people about it, we need her to have another sentence. Yes. Oh, immediate. It's right here.
Yeah. So when I submit anything or I send an email that I'm like, ooh, I don't know about this, instead of like being in a place of self-doubt, I just say in my head like good energy when I hit submit or hit send or whatever. So it's like I've like gotten into the mindset of forming a sort of mantra around submissions and like letting things go to the universe, and oftentimes it's worked. Like, so I would just say maybe adopt the good energy mindset, and just, you don't necessarily know what the energy is, but you know that it's not like negative. You know that it's more, I don't know, maybe multiplicative. Like it's just going out there and it's doing its work for you. Like it's just
Yes. Yeah. Adriana needs something. It's like something she's gonna say that will kickstart that good energy. I'm gonna throw something out. It's not gonna be it, but you will know what it is. Oh, your neighbor next to you also has an idea.
Yeah, as coming of a person, like as a person in medicine, I'll say, like, you know, one of the things that I like learned to lean into is like there are very few people that can tell our story in medicine, and it's like when you touch the stigma and just know like you're telling someone your story and they're gonna link to that,
Yes.
for future healthcare. So just when you submit that, letting them know if there will be something else to that as well.
Yes. It's going to be something like these things. It's going to be like, you click it and it's like, there goes my story. Or you click and it's like, ta-da! Or you click it and it's like, boom! Like, there's something for you to say that is going to replace the, like, I'm probably not going to get it. Adriana, what is it? What is it that you need to say to yourself that will make it possible for you to click submit? You've got the energy, you've got your story, and it's flowing now where it needs to go.
Yeah, I love what Jessica said, saying, there goes my story, because in this process, what has been the hardest but also the easiest at the same time is finally sharing my story. I think Nadine, who's over there, she read my personal statement and told me how powerful my story is, and so I think that's a big part of this process.
Yeah. What I'm listening for, friends, is 100%. I'm listening for wholeness and 100%. We're 99% there. What I sense, Adriana, is that you need a word before story. You need, like, there goes my blank story.
There
But
goes Dr. Gomez's story.
something like that. Is that it? Can you try saying it?
There goes Dr. Gomez's story.
How does that feel for you to say that?
It feels like that's what I want, but it feels scary.
Feels scary, right? But that's what you want. There goes Dr. Gomez's story. Can you say it one more time? Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Before you're going to say it again, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to imagine, where are you when you're a doctor? You want to be a doctor, a physician. Where are you? Are you in a hospital? Are you in an office? Are you in another country, in a community that needs you? Where are you when you are this physician?
When I close my eyes, I imagine myself with a patient and their family that looks like my family, who are Latino, Spanish speaking, who sigh relief when they see that I also speak Spanish.
Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I want you to go to that place where you're sitting across from that family. And you're going to say, there goes Dr. Gomez's story, but you're going to say it in Spanish. Can you try saying it in Spanish for me? And I just want you to, you're wearing your coat, your white coat. You're sitting down in the patient consultation. They're looking at you. They need you because you've got the knowledge they need to be able to take their lives to the next level of care and health and wellness. They need you in that space. We're here now today, but like that's where you are already. You're already there. We're just going to get you there. And the thing you need to say is, there goes Dr. Gomez's story, but you're going to say it in Spanish. Can you try that for me?
Esta es la historia de la doctora Gómez.
Mm-hmm. How does that feel?
Feels better.
Still scary. Still scary. Yeah? Let's try it one more time. But you're going to say it. It's like you got to say it to someone who needs you. And it might not be someone from the future. We just did that. You saw your future. It might actually be someone from your past. Is there someone from your past, like an ancestor, someone who like took a step to make it possible for you to be where you are? And like they actually are the one that needs to hear you say, like, there goes Dr. Gomez's story. Who is that person? I feel like you know who that person is.
Yeah, it's my grandpa.
It's your grandpa? Yeah, okay. Is your grandpa still with us in this world, passed on?
He died from lung cancer, but he was the first in our family to come to the United States. He worked in restaurants in Los Angeles back in the 40s, where he worked in the kitchen, but the signs inside the restaurant said, no dogs or Mexicans allowed.
Yeah, yeah. He had to overcome some stuff. We acknowledge him for what he had to overcome to make it possible for that lineage, that journey, that power to continue. So it's actually, you need to say it to him. You need to say it to him, for him, with him. He's with you. And when you click submit, it's like he's with you. Like there goes, it might be your story and our story. Like it might actually be something like that. So you'll know what it is, and you'll know it when you say it. So, but you're going to say it to him, with him, for your future patients. Can you try that? And you'll know, yeah, he's going to be there with you when you click submit. Go ahead, try one more time. Just imagine him, imagine his journey, imagine your journey. Yeah.
This is our story that has led me to become Dr. Gomez.
Yeah. How does that feel? Yeah? Better.
I'm already.
Yeah. It's like almost there, Adriana. I know you're with me, and like when we get it, I'm not gonna. We're gonna get it because it's like that important. It's like your breakthrough that is waiting right now, and it opens the breakthroughs for other people as well. Who's getting something from Adriana? Yeah, she's not taking too much time. She's not this is for all of us. It's for your grandpa. It's for you. It's for your future patients. It's for the families who need you. It's for the students that will sit next to you in med school. Like it's all of that. So. You're clicking submit. We now have your grandfather with us. You know it's our story of your becoming the doctor. Can you try it in English and Spanish? I think you might need to do it like together. Because we did it in English. I think you might need to do it together. Can you try that? Like go to, I'm clicking submit. Like actually, you're at the computer. Clicking submit. And you say, wait, hold on. Breathe. We breathe.
This is the beginning of our story to becoming Dr. Gomez. Este es el comienzo de mi historia a ser la doctora Gomez.
Yeah. How does that feel? Even better.
Can we do a group hug?
Can we do a group hug? Yeah. Okay, you know what she needs? She actually needs someone in the room to address her as Dr. Gomez. Like here's what we need. We need like 3 people who are willing to get up and like go shake her hand and be like, hello, Dr. Gomez. I need like that. She needs to feel it to lock it in. So we've already got 1 volunteer. We've got 2 volunteers. We've got 3 volunteers. And Dr. Gomez, can you stand up, please? Yeah, you stand up. Put on your coat. Put on your white coat. And you're gonna introduce yourself to these people. You're gonna say, hello, I'm Dr. Gomez. And the 3 people are gonna say, hello, Dr. Gomez.
Hi, Dr. Gomez. I am so, excuse my explicit, fucking proud of you. Her personal statement literally had me in tears. I was like, this is what we need in healthcare. Like, I'm so proud of you. You're already Dr. Gomez in my eyes.
Hi, Dr. Gomez. Our community needs you.
All right, round of applause for Dr. Gomez. All right, Dr. Gomez, how do you feel?
Well, first, I can't believe I put myself in the spotlight. But it feels good, and it feels good to let some tears out, too.
Yeah. A release of something, huh? Something's out there now. Good work. I acknowledge you for that. Thank you for being brave, putting your story out there. That was great. I would love to have a volunteer from the audience, if you'd be willing, to stand up and acknowledge Dr. Gomez for her willingness to do that coaching and that work right now. And maybe if you could offer, what difference did it make for you? What difference did it make for you, what you just saw her do and experience? Please.
Yeah, that was amazing, man. Like, you literally have me over here. I had to get words. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of joy here. But I really love how you bring ancestry into this. And like, we are our ancestors' greatest dreams. Like everybody in this room, like we are our ancestors' greatest dreams. And like when your grandfather is dead. And just like when we hold space for that, when you were holding space for that, like I just felt it. Like you feel the common like humanity of it and the way that like we each identify with that story in our own way. And I don't know, it was just really beautiful to like then hear you like in that space of like talking to your patients, like somebody who looks like you when they get that sigh of relief. And like I really like felt you like transported there, and it's like that timeline has already shifted. Like you are already that doctor, that has already happened. Like, and I'm just so excited that when you submit these like applications, you're gonna have that conviction of like it's already done. I am already this person. And so there's just a lot of bravery that you brought to like the space, and I'm really glad that you allowed us to hold you gently as you went through this process.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that acknowledgement. Thank you. Yeah. Yeah. There's going to be a different energy that goes out with those applications now, powered up also by the energy that we just created in this room. So thank you, everyone, for the role you played in making that possible. Thank you for the acknowledgement as well of Dr. Gomez. She is on her way. And what a perfect, again, connection. We're like right back where we need to be, exactly, inherited versus chosen legacies. Because yes, this is a time now to bring forward the wisdom of our ancestors, and also at the same time, our ancestors carried with them struggles, challenges, trauma, right? That comes from what they lived through, that carried on and passed through the generations. And so oftentimes we feel that within us, right? The pride, the power that comes from where we've come from, but we might also feel the challenges that come from what we've inherited. So I'd like to talk a little bit about inherited versus chosen legacies. It's going to be another exercise for us to do, can yield a lot of power, again, in getting clarity on what you really want and what is yours, what is your story that's part of the collective story. So this is a very simple tool. We just draw a straight line down the middle of the paper. And what I want to say about legacy is this. Some people think, and we often think that legacy is what we leave behind. It's also, I would like to offer, the thing that we are doing right now, what we're creating right now by who we choose to be, how we choose to show up in the world. And it's all those now moments that eventually lead up to the life we had, the legacy we leave behind, okay? So if legacy is now, right now, legacy is in the moment we chose to be brave, to share what we wanted. Legacy is in the moment we chose to acknowledge ourselves. Legacy is in the moment we click submit on that application, right? Legacy is now. We are oftentimes inheriting legacies from a lot of different sources. From the media, from our families, from our neighborhoods, from our communities, from our culture, from our identity, from social constructs, from the historical oppression of racism, sexism, classism, ableism, ageism. Like all these things are around us as part of the conditioning, right, of what we're living into, what we're defaulting to in the moment, right? I'm going to give you an example of this. My family, I identify as Latina. My family has a very, very strong value around humility. I was the first in my family to graduate from college, but it was like a family goal that I was going to get there. First in my family to do that. My parents didn't have that as part of their story. Their parents didn't have that as part of their story, but there was a switch when they said, we're going to come together and make it possible for Laura to go to college. That was a switch. That was a change in the legacy. Humility, though, with my parents, there can sometimes be a little bit of a shadow side with that. I'll tell you with my circle, I'm going to go back to the power of what I want for a moment. One of the things I would write on the outside of my circle is poverty. I grew up in a low-income household, and there were challenges, oftentimes with scarcity. So I will write in my circle that one of the things that scares me is poverty. I don't want to return to or be faced with those challenges. And so in the middle of my circle, I would write things like, oh, you know, I want to have like a comfortable lifestyle. But I realized that what I was inheriting in the humility was keeping me from saying the thing that I really wanted, which was that actually I want to build intergenerational wealth for my next generation of kids and grandkids to come, because I want their trajectory to be changed. I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forward as part of continuing that story. So when we inherit our legacies, they land for us almost like beliefs, right? Like, I should do this. I must do this. The only way is this way, right? And they can feel like they create a lot of pressure. For me, I had an inherited legacy of be humble all the time. And that led me to not always say what I wanted, not feel like I was deserving of what I wanted, not feeling like it was accessible to me. So to be able to then look into that legacy and say, you know what? I want to continue the legacy of humility, but I want to leave behind any feelings of low self-worth. And I'm going to start a new legacy of my worth is defined by me. So it's almost like taking what serves you, bringing that forward from conscious choice as opposed to, well, that's the way we've always done it. That's the way it's always been. And finding within your own life, where do you have a legacy that's actually limiting you right now? It's run its course, and it's time for you to see, no, there's a new choice to make. I can continue in choice what part of that legacy I want to move forward. Okay, so we're going to play with this. This is an exercise to play with. I want to invite you to look back at your circle, power of knowing what you want. You might see some things there that are like, why do I want that? Is that because of an inherited legacy? Is that because of a chosen legacy? Why do I want that thing? I'd love for you to play around with saying, here are some inherited legacies I can already see right now in my life. I've inherited a belief that I can't be a working mom and a CEO. I've inherited that belief, and it's time for me to choose something different. I've inherited a belief that graduate school is going to be really expensive, so it's probably going to be a struggle. No, actually, the new legacy I'm going to be stepping into is I'm going to graduate school, and I'm going to do it without debt. Like, you're going to choose right now to take what serves you from the legacy, and there might be one to let go of. There might be one to create anew. We'll give you a couple minutes of work time on that in your chart, and just see what comes up. I'd love for you to, let's stay with the partner that's next to you at the table this time. Come back a little bit to that home base, the partner that you started with. And let's just take a minute to share, what are you seeing in noticing the difference between the inherited legacy and a chosen legacy? What are you seeing? What are you noticing from making this chart? What's popping for you as you engage with this exercise? Take a couple minutes to share, and then we'll come back. What are you seeing from inherited versus chosen legacies? All right, let's go ahead and come back together. Let's come back together. I know that probably was not nearly enough time for all the rich dialogue and conversation. All right, I would love, if you're open to it, I feel like someone saw something big for themselves in this exercise. Someone saw something big for themselves. I think it's someone we maybe have not yet heard from as well. So that's my sense. Can that person please raise their hand and share? You saw something big. What was it? Yes.
So interestingly enough, when I was making my power of knowing what I wanted is to create a space for connection, learning, embodiment for women and femmes. And my inherited legacy that kind of showed up was don't take up space, right? Like, make yourself small. Don't take up too much energy. And so what I was talking with Terrence about is this idea that the universe is always expanding, right? So as you create space, more space is continuing to expand.
Yeah, ripple effect.
So as I'm putting into this world, I'm creating space that brings in other people and they can create space. And so it's just gonna always get bigger. It's not like a take it's a create.
Yeah.
And so like that was a really cool thing for me to recognize and like really.
Wow. I got like tingles all over my body.
So yeah, that was big. That was big.
Wow.
Especially cool with like what we're doing with Adriana, and like how we spent all that time like kind of going through that process with her, and it like you were like, oh no, like it's okay for you to take up this. I know we're getting all this out of it, and I think it's so true that like in doing this for her and like with her, I think everyone gained something from it, and everyone connected with that, and so it created space for all of us too, and creating space for her. So that was, like,
That's amazing.
really big for me. This whole
Woo!
thing was really big.
That is a huge upgrade for me too that I'm taking, that it's not about like taking space but creating space. I love that, like the expansive nature of that. Who got something from that share? I'm just curious. Yeah. Just the power of sharing, y'all. Thank you for putting your voices out there. Like, notice how it makes a difference for other people. We don't often know how much of a difference it makes because people aren't always like, I acknowledge you, I raise my hand, that made a difference for me. But like, your presence, your words, your intentions, your convictions, they have a massive ripple effect, an expansive effect, like you said. And I know that courage comes from within to be able to share. Okay, so we have just a couple minutes left before we conclude. And what I'd love to do, you took us right there. Let's go back to the intention that you started with. We went through several tools. Look back at that intention as if you're seeing it for the first time. Look back at that intention now that you've clarified a bit more of what you want, what you don't want. Now that you've looked at legacies, now that you've made some choices about how you want to continue the story, always honoring what came before. Remember, we have Grandpa sitting with us, submitting the applications, right? Like, we can honor what's come before and still be in full choice for what comes next, right? So take a look back at your intention. See it as if you're seeing it from the first time. I want to give you just a few seconds to ask yourself, what do I see now? What do I see now that maybe I didn't see at the beginning of this time, but I see it now? What do I see now? What do I see now in my intention? And the next question I'd love for you to ask yourself, as our final question, is what wants to happen next? What wants to happen now? What do I see now? What wants to happen now? What wants to happen next? You know it. It's within you. All right, and in our last couple of minutes, this is it, y'all. This is what we've been working towards, right? All these tools for you to see what you now see, for you to know what there is to do next, for you to know what's awaiting. What we have is this space that we've co-created over the last 90 minutes. We have each other, this powerful community. You have what you want. You have your intention. You've made some choices. Now is the time where I sense there's at least a couple of people who are ready to stand up and say, this is what I need to say. Like, I don't know what you need to say, but you need to say it. Like, it is now the time. It's what you see. It's what's happening next. It's what's happening now. And I want to invite you, if you feel that, if you know that, this is your moment with everyone here to hold that space and bear witness. This is your chance. And guess what? The chance is also in the 15-minute break and at lunch and ongoing and ongoing. But we have the magic of this moment that is right now. It's always now and now and now. All right, so who is it? We've got, I think, at least two people who are ready to stand up and say something that is going to make a difference for them and make a difference for all of us. Yes? We're holding the space, everybody. We're holding it together.
I'm allowed to want, and I'm worth what I want.
I'm allowed to want, and I'm worth what I want. Yeah. And what does that make possible when you're allowed to want? Anything. Thank you. Thank you. One more. There's one more like that. There's one more like that. It's for you and it's for all of us. You got it? Did y'all feel how it just clicked right there? How it just clicked? Did you feel how it just clicked for you? Oh yeah. Okay, good. We needed to wait for that because it's here.
I don't have it written, but what I can see in my mind is greater than anything I see in front of me.
What I can see in my mind is greater than anything in front of me. All right. Y'all, let's take a big breath. Let's exhale it out. Feel all that power that's running through you, that's running through the room. Breakthroughs can feel a lot of ways. They can feel energizing, they can feel emotional, they can feel like a big release. So just allow yourself to be with what is here now, to honor it as part of your story, and to know that what needed to happen here is exactly what needed to happen for that jump to possibility. And with that jump, anything can be possible. And regardless of what's right in front of us, what we can dream, what we can see, what we see in our hearts, that is the thing that's calling us. All right? Thank you so much. I have one little thing for y'all. Before you leave on break, if you'd like to have a little inspirational card with an inspiring words for you, I have some choices up here. So please feel free to come see me. I'd love to give you one for your journey towards possibility. Thank you so much for this time. I appreciate y'all.